Sometimes I guess we're just meant to do something more than once or more than twice. But I like to think that if we do that, it is because something better will come on that third or fourth time of trying to record your show. So that's what I'm going to tell myself today. Welcome to episode 6 of Lost Without Japan, a podcast based on Japan and your Lost Without moments. This is your director of travel for TKIC Studio Productions, coming to you with hopes and dreams of a return to travel for himself and others in summer 2022. Like I told you, probably recorded this show twice now, but this one I hope is going to be the one that takes. I'd like to thank you for giving me a bit of your time today, and I truly hope this podcast finds you in a good place or on a path to a better one. No matter how it may seem at this moment, my belief is that this community and this podcast, along with Japan, can all serve to be beacons that help guide us in those moments when we're lost and just help remind us of where we're going when we're making steps. Let's make sure that we're heading in that direction that gets us to that end goal that we're looking for. And I really feel that Japan, our community, and the show can be that for all of us. So go ahead and take a few deep breaths and come along with me as we begin planning either your first trip to Japan or your return trip to Japan once travel opens back up to us. Now, getting you to Japan on either your first visit or return trip is going to be a topic I will continue to touch base on many times through this first season. Today's episode is going to contain some additional items to add to our trip, along with it's going to talk about looking kind of around you. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. Now, come along with me on today's journey, and let's continue to build upon and find some of those lost without moments, both in Japan and without. Want to say a big thank you again to our sponsor, the K-Pop Kimchi Podcast. The super brief advertisement will go at the end of today's show. If you could give a listen to them and check them out, it'd be much appreciated. Now on to our follow-up portion of podcast and today's topic, what's around you? So, how are you doing? How are your continued steps to get to Japan for your first time or return trip? How's that progress going? Are you stagnant? Has it been $5, $10? Is it, getting one of those items that I've recommended in previous shows? How's it going? How is your dream come true savings account? Is it growing? Have you started it? And if you haven't, let's get that done. Again, my credit union that's by me, I was able to start an account with $5 and, started adding bits and pieces to it when I did that first return trip back in 2017. It will happen. I'm telling you, it adds up quicker than you think it will. And if nothing else, even if it's seeming to take a long time to add up, it's happening. And what's going to happen is you're going to come out the other end of that in Japan, stepping off of that plane, hopefully, one where you were able to rest and your noise canceling headphones work the whole way. Nice, comfy pillow. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be so worth it once you're there. So let's keep going together. Now, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're returning Lost Without listener, thank you again for your time and for returning. So with those celebrations that you're taking, I hope that you're giving yourself that pat on the back or that you're talking to others to help support you during this time. And know that there are other listeners that are kind of sending out positive thoughts to everyone else that's a part of this show. And I want to take a moment, with that being said, to thank David, who reached out to the show through our Instagram Messenger. And I got to say, it made my month to connect with another fan of Japan and to hear what got him interested in Japan. I feel like for him, man, it was meant to be. He said that about 10 years ago, he was kind of walking through and came across two metal wooden stamps with Japanese characters on them. And those two characters set everything in motion for him. And turns out we were actually in Japan very close to each other, if not at the same time, back in 2019. Isn't it amazing how those small moments can lead you to discover something that's going to become a large portion of your life? I mean, these connections that you make can genuinely get you in contact with people that are down to earth, nice people, and become part of a support group or a friend or friendship that'll run you your entire life. And if you're anything like me, Japan's a huge part of your life, and having people to share it with is huge. It's really huge. I feel like from all my times, even when I did Apple support, made some friends through that. And when you kind of find another person that has that similar interest in Japan, how often is it that that person is studying or, looking to go or has been, and just everyone that I meet in accord, with those things are such a positive add to my life. And with everything that's going on and continuing to go on, and what is the new normal? What is that even? I don't know. But surrounding yourself with as many positive people is such a huge, huge thing. Now, my Japanese study, I'm trying to just, like I told you before, just keep taking small steps forward and to not stop studying, because to be honest, that's the one consistent thing I've done with every time I've started, is that it has come to an end. Now, I had a super nice session this last Friday with my tutor, and we took kind of a break from our time and numbers and things we were going through to have a look at my friend's menu for Good Time Funare, who I've talked about previously. I'll include a link for the restaurant in my show notes for this one. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite things to learn has been katakana. I love the fact that if you can read it and sound it out, you stand a good chance of being able to figure out actually what it is. And even with my super limited vocabulary at this time, I was able to sound some things out and knew that it was chicken, knew that it was a hot dog, knew that it was pan for bread, and was able to go through. And what a huge pick-me-up and a boost that was, just to confidence to realize that these super small steps that I'm taking are actually moving me forward. And it was huge. So keep at it. No matter how small that step is, you're going to find out that, man, you're making way more progress than what you thought. And one thing that I was thinking about doing was just putting a reminder in my phone. As you listen to these shows, I'm big about throwing reminders into my phone. But one of them is just put where you're at right now. Put what you have in that Japan travel fund and set it out for 6 months, set it out for a year. And just it's going to pop up and it's going to tell you, hey, I only had $5, $10, or I only knew 15 hiragana characters, or all I knew was hiragana, or I knew how to say this, whatever it is, and put it in there. Be proud of where you're at right now. And who knows, 6 months from now, a year from now, whatever it is that you set that reminder in, may come at a point where you're struggling to keep going with things. And to know that you only had $5 in your account at this date, and now you have 115, or you have 200, whatever it is, you're like, look how far you've come. And you may be struggling with your Japanese studies. And look where you are at versus where you are now. I know that we're going to be in better places. And if you ever need someone to reach out to for support with that, or just a positive thought, or just someone to reach out to you periodically to check on you, I'm happy to do that for you. It truly means a lot for me to have your support. As others, reach out, know you can at any time at lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com. the YouTube channel that we've started for Lost Without Japan. It's just the podcast at this point in time, but who knows? Could get to where I'm actually on there in front of you. But as the old radio or podcast joke goes, sometimes you have a face meant for podcasting. Now, you can also reach out to Instagram at Lost Without Japan. And really what I'm hoping for at this point in time is that I'm going to be able to share some meaningful Lost Without Japan moments to you after winter break, trying to set up to get together with some friends that I traveled with. And my hope is come January, February, that I'll be able to share some other Lost Without moments. Now, if you have them yourself, feel free to send me an audio file to lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com, and I'll happily include those in the show as well. So let's get started with step 4, what's around you, and 4A, kind of more supplies for the trip. First, some more items to add to your trip. And if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but they're super important. You have those moments that kind of remind you of why they are. But if you do a search for quick, dry travel towels, I've always carried towels with me. When I ended up in Japan, I ended up there during the summer, and you sweat a lot. No matter what you try to do, you can't escape it. But even if it's not summer, you're going to sweat, you're going to walk. It's nice to have something to kind of wipe your forehead with and use. It's crazy how much use they seem to have on every trip to Japan for me. And having a quick dry towel has been kind of a lifesaver too, because I've been through multiple. And one thing that I want to make sure, and I think I've said it, but I didn't necessarily say why, please keep a travel first aid kit in your backpack. It's not just having Band-Aids and those things that you normally take with on a trip, which, is just good to do. But keeping that in your backpack is huge. Now, I slip and fell last time I was in Tokyo, and I gashed my left knee pretty good. And I had one of those travel towels that was there, and I was able to kind of wrap my knee, just give me a chance to get back to where I needed to be, to where we were staying for Airbnb. And at the Airbnb, went about cleaning my wound and kind of dressing it up more appropriately to what it was. But man, I would have liked to have not ruined my towel, number one. And number two, it would have been nice to just been able to take care of that while I was there and not take away from a portion of my trip. And with that first aid kit, if you're going to be in Japan for any length of time, it's really a good idea to look into travel insurance. And that'll kind of lead me into a little bit of my next story. And we'll talk more about travel insurance and where you can find it in later episodes. But one thing to add beyond just those first aid kits and what they have is my friend Mike, when we were in Japan back in 2019, ended up in the hospital for a little bit. I'm not going to go into it, but one of the things he needed once he got out was ibuprofen and Tylenol. Because if you don't know it, it's not something that you can just go into any store and find. Like here stateside, I can go into a gas station and I'll find it. I can go into a Walgreens, I can go into any store, and they're going to have ibuprofen and Tylenol. I ended up spending the large portion of a day going from pharmacy to other places that would have anything there again and again, and ended up spending $10 on 6 Tylenol tabs when I found them. And I was super happy to have found them when I did. I bought multiple for my friend to give to him, but man, leaving with sealed ibuprofen, in that sealed Tylenol, is a big deal. And it's something you can purchase in advance, especially if you're looking to travel next summer. Look at that expiration date. Some of the ones that I purchased were good through 2023, 2024. So it's something that you can have and just throw into your closet. I have kind of a shelves and things that are in my closet have some drawers, and everything that I get for my trip just kind of goes into them, and really nothing else is in those drawers except for things to travel to Japan with. And like I said before, the more you can add in advance, the more you're going to have while you're there, and it's just going to make your trip so much better. Think about not having to spend a large portion of one of your days just trying to find something we kind of take for granted. Just, go ahead. Like I said, get that emergency kit, get your quick drying towels, and like I said, grab both ibuprofen and Tylenol, because as the doctor said there, they wanted him alternating, and he had ibuprofen. We had no Tylenol amongst our group. So just do yourself a service, and those people that are with you, just go ahead and have it. And that kind of adds me to add to that also is have some different sized bandages. Now, I found them there, like I said, with my knee and things like that, but again, just pricing seemed to be a little bit more for where I was. Don't know if it was just because I was in Tokyo and it was just less amounts. And again, is that really what you want to do when you have something is kind of going from place to place while your knee's bothering you to find something? No. But let's get on to our show topic for today of what's around you. Now, one of my favorite words of advice came to me before my trip back in 2004 with the Japanese Fulbright Memorial Group. And they said, try and find as much food or other experiences that are Japanese based that are possible around you. And when I did that search back in that time was, finding not only Mitsuwa, which I'll talk about here in a bit, a Japanese market that was by me, but a Japanese rock garden that's in Rockford, and just some other things that I was unaware of, before I went the first time. And you think about it, you can have food potentially at home or in areas around you and find out like, hey, before I even go to Japan, I know I like this. And I got to tell you, I tried a bunch of sushi before I went to do my homestay so I could know what I preferred over others. Sushi is not a huge thing for me. And I, probably have people like, I can't believe it. But it really is not. I can have it. There's some things I like more than others. But what I did find was that I really liked, Japanese curry, some of the different skewered meats, some of the bowls, beef bowls, ramens, and things like that, which is good to have before going. So if you can do a search for your area and kind of type in, ramen, bento, sushi, Japanese market, Asian market, if you don't have Japanese markets, they're all good places to start. And just even if it's going down the snack aisle and trying some things out, it's an adventure, let me tell you. One of my favorite things that I did on the Japan Fulbright trip was at night, we'd all go to different convenience stores and we'd buy things, not really knowing what they were. And then we would buy some adult beverages, head back to our things, and enjoy sampling everything. Sometimes it was good. A good chunk of times it was something completely different. And but it was like one of my most memorable moments from that trip was just doing that together. And you'd find some things you'd like, and we'd end up buying those out, and come back with those. So it was just great. Truly a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, if you're in Illinois or East and West Coast, there's a Japanese market called Mitsuwa. Mine in the Chicagoland area has a food court, DVD store, bookstore, grocer, all amazing things that are there. And so many experiences you can have going through that grocer section of things you could even take home and make. And just, again, experience all that you can even before you go. And one other thing, like I said, do these searches on a fairly regular basis. I found a restaurant called Sozai Banzai, which is run by a family from Japan, and they kind of specialize in bento box meals. which before that, like, I hadn't found many places that would do that. They have ramen. They had some sushi. They had some different things that are there as well. Some, bowl, meals. And I've been the last few, over like the last few weeks, couple times, once with my daughter and once with my friend Josh that went to Japan with me. And I got to tell you, I tried some things that I haven't even tried in Japan yet that were available there. And, I can add a couple other things meal-wise to what I experience when I'm over there. Like, how huge is that? And just a wonderful kind of cheap version of a trip when you can just go get something to eat and experience a Japanese menu with some English and, just kind of start having kind of like that bridge to Japan moment of just like, hey, this is what it could be like. So it was great. It was great. If you'd like to see some pictures from that, you can check out Instagram for our Lost Without Japan show page. And they were even to the point of some of the photos. I had some friends that were in Japan. They were like, hey, when'd you make it back? Are you here? It's like, because it was really that legit. So I'm looking forward to, like I said, this is normally when you go into that Lost Without Moments section. And I think I, filled in a couple brief things. But what I'm really looking forward to is doing some potential in-person interviews to add to this. And I'm going to be looking to do that over winter break with, like I said, some friends and people that I know that have been to Japan, and then bring that into kind of like our potentially January, February, March portion of things where we can have more than just myself talking. And I look forward to being able to do that with you. I hope that can occur. Follow our Instagram page and you'll keep definitely up to date on what's going on and know before it even drops in your feed that it's available. And something to look forward to. So once again, thank you so much, David, for reaching out and sharing what got you into Japan. Truly meant a lot. Keep on touching base and let me know how it's going. So now for some housekeeping. Please give a follow, a like, and a comment on your favorite streaming service. For updates on the show, feel free to give a follow on Instagram at Lost Without Japan, or visit lostwithoutjapan.libsyn.com. If you'd like to, you can also reach out on that old-fashioned email, lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com. I even went so far to put our show on YouTube, just the podcast. Eventually, maybe down the line, I can do some, actual video recording of me doing the show. And who knows, some video recording of having some guests. Hey, we got to have something to dream and keep on taking steps forward, don't we? So look forward to the next show arriving in 2 weeks' time, and have our adventure together continue. And as we continue our discussion about getting you to Japan, to start making your own Lost Without Japan moments in episode 7. On behalf of Lost Without Japan and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you on board again in the very near future. To everyone out there, Ogenki Day. Stay well. Thank you all so incredibly much for listening through to this point. Means so much, and just all the positive energy that I can send your way. Looking forward to talking again with you very soon.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the K-Pop Kimchi Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Turneau, with my co-host, Fogrel, Brian Limper.
And when you need a break from planning your upcoming trip or maybe even your first trip to Japan, be sure to come check us out on the K-Pop Kimchi Podcast, your #1 source for all things K-pop related.